the lawmaker representing Odigbo constituency 1, Iroju Ogundeji. This is sequel to submission of a letter by the lawmaker informing of his defection to the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Iroju Ogundeji was a deputy speaker in the House of Assembly before his replacement with Samuel Aderoboye, who represents Odigbo constituency 2.
The Honorable House having acted in accordance with the provision of Section 109(1)(g) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, made the following pronouncement as follows. Honorable colleagues, that Right Honorable Iroju Ogundeji is hereby declared as persona non grata. The seat of Right Honorable Iroju Ogundeji, former Deputy Speaker of this Honorable House from Odigbo State Constituency 1, is hereby declared vacant as short.
The Ondo State government says it will continue to implement programs that are geared towards the betterment of the state. The special advisor to the state governor on transport, Mr. Tobi Oguleye, spoke at the training and licensing of over 60 motorcyclists from a federal local government area. Oguleye commended Prince Aderosoye Fadola, the sponsor of the program, for keying into the state government's people-oriented programs.
Mo fẹ́ kí ọmọọba Adéọ̀sóyè Fádọlà ọmọ bíbí ìfẹ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ tó wá láti Nàrà. He has paid for you. Ẹ pàtẹ́wọ́ fún. He's not here, but his representative is here. He has paid for you. See, now so nǹkan gidi ni abẹ́rẹ́ orílẹ̀ èdè àwọn tó kí ìtòrí tí ọlọ́run bá gbé olùgbé àlọ́ ọ̀sẹ̀ mi ó yẹ kí á túbọ̀ ran ìjọba ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ìkí to the vision of Akérédolú ẹ pàtẹ́wọ́ fún. I'm not campaigning for him, but he has done what is commendable.
Prince Fadola, who was represented at the event by his media advisor, Adekunle Adewumi, commended Governor Akeredolu for his landmark achievements in the transport sector and other aspects of the state's economy. He called on the trained and licensed commercial motorcycle operators from Ifedore to make proper use of the gesture. Trial of suspected killers of Mrs. Olufunke Olakunrin, daughter of Afenifere leader Chief Reuben Fashionroti. Justice William Olamide, after listening to written addresses of counsel in the case, said the judgment day will be communicated. OSRC's Richard Ilisomi completes the story.
After months of legal fireworks in the trial of the 4 defendants, Mohammed Shehu, Adamu, Awalu Abubakar and Lawal Mazaji, on 4 counts, including murder of late Mrs. Olufunke Olakunrin, counselled in the case, adopted their final written addresses before Justice William Olamide of the Ondo State High Court. In their final address, dated 28th of March 2022, the prosecution, led by the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Chastity Loye, said they have raised 5 issues for determination of the case. He urged the court to hold that the prosecution has proven its case against the defendants beyond reasonable doubt, to find the defendants guilty of all the charges and prayed the court to sentence them accordingly.
From the evidence, totality of witnesses we have brought before the court and the exhibits we have tendered before this court, we have convinced that a case has been established against all the accused persons, the defendants. The have all conspired together to commit murder and kidnapping. We are praying this honorable court that they should be convicted, found guilty, and sentence them accordingly. That's what we have called this honorable court to do, in the interest of justice, because justice is not always for the defendant alone. It's also for the victim. Somebody lost his life in this unfortunate incident.
But counsel to the defendants, Kudrat Badamoshi and Obafemi Power, in their written addresses, formulated 5 issues of law for the courts to determine whether their clients are guilty or not.
Whether the court could speculate into the prosecution case like an Ifa oracle in the absence of fact as placed before the court. Whether failure to call a vital witnesses, prosecution vital witnesses, whose evidence could have assisted the court in setting the prosecution case straight to enable the court determine as to what, when, and how. Whether failure to call same is not fatal to the prosecution case.
They pray the court to discharge and acquit the defendants. Justice William Olamide at the judgment days we communicated to lawyers in the case. Richard Elesomi, Osrc News.
Members of the Ondo State chapter of Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria, RATAU, have voted new executives to pilot affairs of the union for the next 3 years. Comrade Kayode Olorunfemi of Osrc Chapel was elected and returned as chairman of the union with 40 votes to defeat his closest challenger, who scored 10. Zaid Aribisala reports that 8 new executive members, including Osrc's Betty Ruben Ayodele, who emerged as auditor of the union, have been sworn in.
Following the expiration of the tenure of the executives, it was time for members of the Radio, Television, Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria in Ondo State to elect new officers that will pilot its affairs. Representatives of the national body of the union were in attendance at the state office to oversee the election process, where 10 delegates from each of the 5 chapels decided the new executives. Of the 8 positions, 4 were unopposed, resulting in a contest for the remaining 4. The returning officer, who is also the Vice President of North Central Zone of RATAU, Comrade Kabala Muhammad, said the election was conducted without any hitch.
Winners emerged from this competitive election, and to God be the glory. It has been under a peaceful atmosphere. There is no rancor whatsoever.
Comrade Kayode Olorunfemi of Osrc RATAU Chapel, who until the expiration of his tenure was chairman, contested against 2 others and was returned elected with 40 votes as against his closest challenger, who polled 10 votes.
Well, I feel happy and I feel it is a challenge for me to work again. And I know I cannot get anything done if not being approved by God. And I know even winning this election is because God is by my side. And I promise my people that they will still see more.
Another position contested was that of the auditor, where another Osrc Chapel member, Comrade Betty Ruben Ayodele, was victorious, polling 38 votes.
I thank my delegates for having confidence in me for occupying this post again. And I pray I won't disappoint them, because I have to support the vision and mission of the chairman to carry RATAU Ondo State to greater heights.
Also returned elected in other offices are Ayola Ogunshakin as Vice Chairman, Oguntoye Francis as Financial Secretary, Tolulokpe Alejo as Treasurer, Ebenezer Omosule as Assistant Secretary, Rotimi Akande as Secretary, and Florence Adebowale as Public Relations Officer.
I want to thank my comrades, our delegates, our members, for the confidence they have in me to vote for me and give me this position to serve them.
The new executives thanked members and promised to hit the ground running. Some members expressed confidence that the new leadership will build on its previous success and position the union for greater achievements.
We just charge them not to disappoint the electorate, the voters, the delegates that vote for them, and ensure that all their promises that they've made, they should not renege on it, so that we can move Ratawu to greater level.
I will advise him and his member of executive to continue to strive further in order to make sure that welfare of our members are taken care of.
An oath of office was administered on the new executives, officially signaling the commencement of another tenure of 3 years. Sahid Aribisala, Osrc News.
A businessman, Mr. Alex Adjukwe, has declared his intention to contest for the Northern Senatorial District seat of Ondo State in the National Assembly. At the official declaration in our local government area of the state, Adjukwe promised to provide good representation and influence dividends of democracy to the district. OSRC's reporter Zahimwe Beme completes the story.
The official declaration of Mr. Alex Adjukwe for Ondo North Central District of the state brought together dignitaries from within and outside the 6 local government areas of the Northern Central District. Explaining his interest to represent them at the National Assembly, Mr. Alex Adjukwe assured them that more dividends of democracy will get to the doorsteps of the people and the 6 local government areas if elected to represent them.
Over the years and because of my life, I have faced the same challenges that you have faced, both as a child and as an adult. I have come from the same stream and eating from the same sources. And if God, in His infinite mercy, has enabled me to be in a position where I can contest to represent you, my people, in the Nigerian Senate, I consider it a great honor and privilege.
APC leaders at the event described Alex Adjukwe as a man who can represent their interest at the National Assembly.
See him coming out as a project of God, and God called that he should come and rescue us from this area. People of Owo concerned, we are saying now that it is our goal to produce the senatorial seat.
He's a man we all cherish. He's a youth, a dynamic youth, of course.
He's a man whose credibility, the credibility in his character has ties us to him. He's a man of proven integrity. His impact is being felt by our people outside our local government, even to our local government.
They urged every member of the APC to support Alex Adjukwe. Zahimwe Beme, OSRC News.
Top government functionaries, including the Secretary to the State Government, Mrs. Oladuniodu, Chief of Staff to the Governor, Olugbengali, friends and families of Mr. Michael Oshodi, bade him farewell from the civil service after 23 years of meritorious service. The officials took their turns to extol on the virtues of the retiree during a pens-down ceremony held at Cocoa Conference Hall of the Governor's Office, Alagbaka, Akure, described Mr. Oshodi as an astute administrator and disciplined officer whose creative contributions and selfless service to the public service and humanity cannot be forgotten. Omoshilola Desoyajayi now reports.
On this note, thanks all.
That was the official signing out of the Permanent Secretary, General Administration, Governor's Office, Mr. Michael Oshodi, who joined the service of Ondo State Government in 1999, having worked in the banking sector for many years. Cocoa Conference Hall of Governor's Office, venue of the event, was filled to capacity as members of the State Executive Council and top government functionaries, led by the Secretary to the State Government, Mrs. Oladuniodu, showered encomium on the retired.
Mr. Oshodi is a very caring person. It makes me to feel retirement is not going to be fair. Because looking at them, they are all looking very well. Even more relaxed than when they were in service. So, Mr. Oshodi, today you are leaving us. You are leaving and we will miss you.
The Deputy Governor, Mr. Lucky Ayedatiwa, who was represented by the Chief of Staff to Governor, Olugbengali, applauded the astuteness and leadership quality of the retired Permanent Secretary. The Ondo State Head of Service, Mr. Adeniro Adeyemo, who described Mr. Oshodi as an ambassador of due process, admonished other 7 public officers to emulate the retiree by exhibiting commitment and dedication in the discharge of their duties.
Whatever you want, Oshodi will give you. In whichever area. So I said it's a material, it's resources that you need to use. And I appreciate God today. You are able to confirm that at the end of the day, you are clear and you are sure that you will always deliver. And they are happy. Even one of our Oga Kadamola was able to say that give Oshodi any assignment, he will deliver.
I congratulate you, sir, for what you were, for what you are doing today, for the honor being bestowed on you. I want to thank you for what you did, because some of the time you brought chicken soup to me in during Christmas. He never forgot that I was once a boss. Thank you very much.
Comrade Alejo Tolulope.
At the get-together in his honor, his wife, Mrs. Fumi Oshodi, described him as a true family man whose love for his people is unexplainable, while others affirmed Mr. Oshodi's relevance in the state civil service, whose wealth of public sector experience they say will greatly be missed. Civil service, whose wealth will be missed. For the outgone permanent secretary, his successes in the civil service can be attributed to the love and support from the state government and members of staff.
Now, for the
Omoshiliola Adesoye Ajayi, Osrc News.
We sincerely apologize for the poor audio quality of that report. Jehovah's Witnesses in Nigeria and across the world will return to their places of worship after observing 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic restrictions. Its spokesman in Nigeria, Olusegun Eroyemi, who disclosed they said a 30-minute program themed "Where Can You Find Real Hope?" will be held at Kingdom Halls across the country. Mr. Eroyemi said the public is also invited in person on the evening of April 15 to the annual observance of Jesus Christ's death by the Jehovah's Witness.
Well, as you know, we comply with government regulations, and in the past, the government had approved that people can resume worship, but they said there should be 50% of total capacity of the facility. But even at the time, we didn't, because it was not very safe yet, as far as we're concerned. Realizing that just when we thought it was over, we had the Delta variant, and then in a short while, we had the Omicron variant. But at this time, many are vaccinated, and also the infection rate has been reduced drastically. And the government has also now said that 100% can use the facility, not longer 50%. And so we thought it's time to resume, both in compliance with government direction, but also because of the number of persons who have been vaccinated and the reduction in infection rate. Well, Adjukwe, as you know, we are very compliant. We are extremely compliant to government regulations and health authorities' expressions about spreading COVID-19. And that's the reason we did not resume our house-to-house evangelism a long time ago, because we thought it wasn't fair knocking on people's doors and getting infected or infecting people. It wasn't safe. If we locked them, we shouldn't go ahead and get them infected or pick up the virus and go to other people's homes and infect them. And that's basically in compliance. But right now, when we gather at the Kingdom Halls, in all our meeting places. We have wash hand stations. We've done an orientation on how it's going to be used. And then we're still going to wear face masks. It's a requirement for the friends to come, and we ensure that our friends comply. Effective April 1, would resume in-person meetings once again at our various kingdom halls. And that's a global announcement that's just been made, and our brothers and sisters and friends are excited about it.
Admission to both programs, according to Eroyemi, is free on www.jw.org without formal registration. And that concludes Sunshine Report. Thank you so much for your time. Good afternoon.